Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Haikyuu Season 4. We are on Episode 4, and in the last episode, we had Hinata, who was, he basically went into observation mode, and he was, looking at not just how the attackers do things within the volleyball team, but also the defense, receiving balls and things like that, and he kind of uses that in conjunction with him being the ball boy. So it's great that even though he is a ball boy, he is learning these kind of techniques, even though he's not in the game per se. So it almost works in his favor, because if he was actually playing the game, he would be an attacker. He would be spiking the ball and everything. So things like receiving and stuff is not something that he would be able to focus on as much. And because he is outside of the game, it's something that he can sort of take on board, so that when it's like he's learning without being a part of the actual game, which I really like. Not just observing, which is something that can to the degree that he's doing it, is something that can only really be done outside of the game, but also the idea that he is learning to receive at the same time is something that can only be done from the position that he's in, which is not playing in the game as well. So both of those things, it's just really cool to see. Also the sort of intricacies of like what they should take on in terms of like food and everything like that. I love the fact that they're bringing up that kind of stuff, and whatnot. And who was it? Is it the coach of the Jozenji party team? I think it is, right? The sort of secondary coach to the one from Shiratorizawa. When he was monologuing or whatever, he was talking about how how he's looking at it from a different point of view, and if he was to mix this whole thing with his instincts to the information gathering and knowledge that he's getting now and turn it into something like intuition, I just really like the I love the way that he put it, because it does sort of like ring true, like very much so. Hinata's been relying a lot heavily on his instinct. He has learned, of course, but it generally comes like from instinct, but applying sort of like that knowledge and information of the game during an actual game just makes him that much stronger. So I like the way that he put that. Also, one of the things that I actually missed out was when it went to Kageyama, and I was sort of mirroring I hate that word, mirroring Hinata's sort of training camp, where Kageyama was he obviously set the ball up sort of instinctively, because he thought that someone would be there to get it, like Hinata usually does. There was one thing that I did actually forget to talk about, was the fact that even at the level that he's playing at with all of those players who were all invited to the national training camp, youth training camp, that they were all like in awe of how good of a how insane that is, so it's propping up like Kageyama like even more of just that sheer talent, that even like those, like all of those characters, like all of them are seeing it and just being like, what? Like, what, you expect me to get that? Which it makes sense, because you have the likes of Aikawa back in the day would say, like he said, that that's scary and stuff. So that totally makes sense. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see more of that. I want to see more of that side as well, and whatnot. We had Tsukishima, who wants Hinata for something, so we're going to get into that, and I want to see what happens with that. And I don't think there is anything else to really talk about. So yeah, we're going to get straight in episode 4 and see what we get. So yeah, if you do want to go watch the full length, you can do by going over to my Patreon and becoming a full length tier patron. You can have access to the full thing unedited if you want. But if you just want the 10-minute unedited footage, then it will be just right here. So yeah, enjoy that. But yeah, nothing else to really talk about. So we're going to get in episode 4 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Alright. Nice. You know what I noticed like about the Haikyuu openings? They all have a similar feel. Like they're all. Does anyone else feel that way? Like from what I recall, there's like almost like a similar inflection in the voice. So I don't know if it is actually the same. Kageyama. やっぱ知ってるやつがいると安心だな。夏合宿の時から近寄りがたかったけど、何を考えてんのやら。
おい。
サクサ。
俺まだビデオ見れてないんだけど、白鳥沢はなんで負けたの？若俊君は不調だったわけ？
Go watch the video, man. You know.
誰か若俊君止めた？
Yeah, damn fucking right.
ああ、まあ止めてました。
どいつ誰？何年？なんてやつ？どこ中？
悪いね。こいつ超絶ネガティブなのよ。
俺はネガティブじゃない。慎重なんだ。
サクサさんはまだ本気出してませんよね。
Was he one of those that feels like he doesn't have to go all out unless
なんとなくイメージより普通だ
Unless he
なっ
has to.
て思ったんで。
風呂。
お、もう
他のやつの金が入る前に入る。
邪魔した
He's
ね。
a germaphobe as well.
全国三本指に普通とか言うから。
まだ普通に見えるって言
So
ったんだ。
far, yeah. I feel like, yeah, he's one of those that doesn't have to go all out unless he feels like it.
みんなレベル高いけどさ。
いやー、それにしても今回の合宿やってること自体がなんか不思議な感じだ。
鷲城先生も変わろうとしているんだと思います。でなきゃそもそも選抜合宿の話に乗ることも、カラスノと戦ってから鷲城先生はやはり少し違います。
Alright.
決勝の最後、カラスノの10番が決めた時の鷲城先生の顔がなんか忘れられないんすよね。
I remember watching that like first time and it was just I mean you can go watch my reaction to it. I'm like I'm still questioning whether that was the last point because I couldn't believe the one.
すげえ悔しい様子は当然なんすけど、それでいて。
お待たせしました。生ガキです。
おい、気をつけろよ。俺たちが学生の時牡蠣に当たった先生いたろ。
Can't do what he does. No.
レフト。
日向君ってリベロじゃないんすか？
え、俺リベロに見える？レシーブうまげに見える？
I think it's because he's short.
そういうわけじゃないんすけど。
俺もブロックやる。ミドル2人だと。じゃあ俺も。マジかよ。止めたら。
And now they're all immediately getting in the receive position.
くそ、一番低いの僕かよ。
Is he? I didn't realize he was short on Imaizumi. Oh, not Imaizumi. What's his name? Imaizumi's fucking Seijo, isn't he?
僕も今のはクロスで打ってくると思った。助走の向きは完全にクロスに切り込む感じだ。
Yeah, I thought he was going to do a cross shot as well.
やっぱうまいな。
お前もしかして自分のブロック連と称して俺にスパイクを打たせてくれようと。
違う。そうっすか。全国のレベルの高いチームと当たればブロッカーとスパイカーの駆け引きはもっとシビアになる。日向が相当ブロックが見えているスパイカーなのは確かだ。練習相手に使わない手はない。
Ah, nice. So he's using it for his own benefit.
影山、左利きのミドルにも難なく合わせてるな。
技術もセンスも素晴らしいですね。
どうだ
Yeah.
こうパパッとコンパクトにさ。わかった。
すぐ分かったって言えるのも、それを実行できんのも恐ろしいわ。ナイス。レフト。
See who this guy is. He's got a weird sort of. What is he? A big jumper? Is that what it is? He is, isn't he? He's got like a distinct. Whew, he's got a distinct animation about him.
お前俺を見たことあんのか？
ここに来てから見てます。
そうじゃねえよ。今までに俺の試合見たことあんのかっつってんの。
ナイス。
じゃあもっとビビれよ、驚けよ。
Oh my god, I wasn't expecting this guy to be like this. Yeah, I thought he was a bit shorter. He's like another Hinata.
ビビってますけど参考になります。
Yeah, yeah, he is.
セッター2年宮集め。
ちなみにトビオ君はなかなかトゲトゲしい第一印象やったけど、プレーはだいぶ
This guy.
お利口さんよな。
ああ。
この上から見るのがマイブームである。国見のレシーブは牛若のと似てるんだよな。
客様フォロ
ー。見事に見送ったな。
もっと気合い入れてやろうぜ。今のは大男だろう。せっかく普段できないメンバーなんだし、あいつもやるときはやるからさ。おいクリミ、今のは追えよ。
はーい。
俺あいつ苦手だ。
国見か？
みんな一生懸命やってんのに一人だけあんまやる気なくね？
でもあいつ体力温存してて試合後半に本気出してくんの超厄介なんだぞ。楽か。
2対2か。正直これが一番きついよな。
まあでも誰よりしんどいのは一番経験値が低いあいつか。
申し訳ないが2メートルとは組みたくないよな。でかいけど技術はまだ中学レベルだもんな。カバーすの大変なんだよ。
Bit harsh, fucking just saying that, you know. In place where you could probably hear it. Kindaichi, right? That's his name. The guy I called Mizumi before.
2対2の時、国見のいるチーム強いんだよな。やっぱ器用だし、相手をよく見てるって感じだ。余裕がある感じがすんなって。
オッケー。すげえ見てくる。
自分がどんどん置いていかれる感覚。プレーが雑になっていくのも自分でわかる。そして俺は自分が好きだらけだと分かってる。分かったところで足がついていくわけじゃない。
ドリンクソイ。
お前が選ばれればよかった。
He didn't mean to say that out loud.
こいつが一番思ってる。強豪のレギュラーでここにいるこいつと戦ったことあるやつ全員がこいつを警戒している。自分で選ばれに来るようなやつ。
いやいや、俺も選ばれればよかった。じゃね？ここに呼ばれたやつは何かしらすごいやつらで。とはいえ
俺はでかいだけだ。
おい！どけってなんだ！お前2メートルってすんげえだろ。
Yeah, come from someone as small as Hinata.
身長2メートルどっちか今すぐもらえるっつったら絶対2メートルだね。マックスすげえ才能だろ。
ライバル励ますなんて余裕だね。
何を言ってやがる。俺は怒っている。
俺を励まして何のメリットがあんだよ。
だってお前を倒したい。
Wants to beat him at his best.
代わりに百沢ちょっとやってみてくんない？ラスト。
後ろスキアリ。
You can reach it, yeah. He's that tall.
楽してこうぜ百沢。
簡単で些細で、でも慌ただしい試合中に忘れがちなこと。自分あるいは仲間の体制が整わないとき、自ら時間を作ることはできない。
Nice. You got that from who was it?
自分が
Kidding me?
積極的に楽をしようとするパスは
Slow it down a bit. Get your composure back.
的なことは無理だ。
最初のボールをできるだけ高くパスすんだよ。国見みたいに。
Yeah.
そんでちょこっとリズムが整うだ
You
け
can
で。
compose yourself. Make sure that you're ready for the next ball.
ラスト。
That face. There you go. Nice! Dude, Hinata just helping everyone out, man. Yeah. Sweet.
はい、じゃあおのおのストレッチやったら上がって。
Okay, episode 4. Right, okay, so it turns out that that Suki wanted Hinata for blocking training. It turns out that it wasn't... it was using Hinata sort of for his own benefit in a way to sort of get those... to get that experience with different kinds of spikes and figuring out how to block them. Yeah, so I really like that. It's just one of those things that... I mean, in the end, it does sort of help, like, both of them out, you know what I mean? So but strictly for Suki, like, blocking training sort of is it's a bit different. Like, I don't feel like blocking is as varied as other things within the game. Spiking, you can vary it up to different forms depending on, the side of the ball that you hit it on the hand. Where you spike, how far away from the net, do you tip it over the top? There's multiple different ways. Do you, basically act like you're going to jump, but then, wait a second and then jump, to force the blockers off. Whereas blockers generally, and it kind of goes hand in hand with Suki anyway. Like last episode, I was talking about how, Hinata's kind of taken the Suki route where Suki would be observant. And I think that's generally because when you're a blocker, it comes, like, observing almost becomes a big part of your game, and almost the biggest part, because you have to learn where, well, first of all, you have to anticipate where the ball's going to go from the setter, and then dictate where you're going to block alongside other people. If you, anticipate where the spiker is going to hit the ball as well, depending on their movement, and everything like that. So observing does come, like, it is a massive part of the blockers game. But it generally, in terms of, like a varied approach to blocking training, it's more anticipating things ahead of time. So I think the idea is because Hinata tends to be a spiker that, is very sort of varied in his approach and how he decides to attack a ball or spike it. It's Suki's best option to get experience from him rather than anybody else. Now, the guy who is from Shiratorizawa that I did write down the name of at some point, at least I'm sure I did anyway. Where is he? I'm sure I did, right? The ace. He's the ace of I guess I didn't. Damn it. Really? Oh god. You know what I mean anyway. Yeah, so the idea of, like, him going around as well, like, he created a path for himself, like, to follow, to essentially put off the blockers. And the idea of that, because he is coming at such an angle, like, he's coming around at this angle, when he jumps, it's almost like you're using that momentum of going this way, whereas the net is, like, here. Going this way, it's likely he's going in for a cross shot, when in reality he can just change his direction and go for a straight, because, he's essentially put off the blockers in that way. So, it's not like he can get experience from, the likes of him, but I feel like Hinata is a hell of a lot more varied in his spikes. So I feel like, by using that, but also just getting another spiker in there, like, just because Hinata can change it sort of up and whatever, and is a bit unpredictable, there are just having another spiker in there that he can use up again. And also, unbeknownst to him, that could actually come in handy, because we have the guy who I don't think we've got the name of yet, the guy that looks like fucking what's his name from Fukurodani, that I mistook him for. We've got that guy who, which this is going to come in handy, clearly, because if he can get this sort of idea against Hinata and some experience against him, then hopefully it should help against this guy, because he is essentially like, Hinata in a way. And Kageyama obviously referenced. I mean, that's basically what he said. He said, "You're a great reference," because he is basically Hinata. He's small, and he's got a very high jump. It was definitely like distinct animation there for him. Like it's almost weird. Like he is. I had to like almost do a double take because I was sure that he wasn't that tall, and I'm like, but the way that he is drawn, it's almost like he is lanky, but he's not. You know what I mean? So he's like a skinny kind of. He's almost like he's got this skinny figure, But yeah, it's just so he's basically another Hinata, which just works in sort of favor in Kageyama's favor, and it's going to end up working in Suki's favor because I'm sure at some point they will come across whatever team he plays for. In the nationals, and we'll see, what the case is there. It's definitely going to be interesting when that does happen. What Hinata thinks about the guy, and it wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like would he? I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. If Hinata was to meet him, I feel like they would either get on really well, or they would hate each other. I feel like it's one or the other with them too. But we'll wait and see. So yeah, we had Sakusa. He came up to we had them all basically like sort of jumping on the Kageyama this episode. But yeah, Sakusa came in. We got a sort of insight into who he is. So he's a bit cautious. Even though he hadn't watched the tape of them against Shiratorizawa, he was just wondering what the hell happened with Washijo and stuff. And I do get the feeling that he is that character that is not going to sort of try unless he truly has to. He's only going to do the base amount of what he needs. He's not going to overexert himself to absolutely decimate an opponent. I feel like he's just going to do enough to like win the game. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that obviously come about. And he's a germaphobe as well by the looks of it. So yeah, we had the guy from the coach from Jozenji and the sort of second coach or whatever from Shiratorizawa, who they must have known each other back in the day. They must have played for the same school, I'd imagine. But basically, yeah, they were talking about how Washijo is clearly changing in a way where, at one point he was just all about, like sheer power, and this idea that, he liked the team focusing around, that height advantage, which is something that obviously, of course, back in the third season, it figured out that wasn't the case, and it kind of blew up in his sort of face, and it all became a reality to him that he didn't try hard enough when he was a kid. It wasn't possible back then, so he is actually changing. Otherwise there wouldn't have been a training camp for this sort of youth setup if that was the case. So it's nice to see that is actually a thing that is actually changing. We had Suki, who basically came out and said that he's actually the shortest of the three that is there now. So Datako, the guy who was it is Koganegawa, I think that's his name, and also Kindaichi as well. During the fucking reaction I said Imaizumi because I just completely got, because they're both from Seijo, right? But yeah, I just completely got it wrong. But it's Kindaichi, that's right. I didn't realize Kindaichi was that big. I mean, Suki's big, but I didn't think. Apparently, he's shorter than those two. I mean, Datako is kind of known as the Iron Wall, so they would be that tall. So I can understand that, but I didn't think Kindaichi was that big. But we know that Kindaichi is like a blocker, so there is that. So yeah, aside from Sakusa and whoever the other guys that we haven't got the name of going at Kageyama, we also have this other guy who is the other setter. So obviously is the guy that feels like he's going to be sort of the just the dickhead rival, I suppose, during this whole national training youth camp thing to Kageyama, which is Miyu Atsumu. And yeah, he's one of those characters, isn't he? Where, I mean, it's almost like he laid it out on the plate, though. So it's not like he's trying to hide it, though he does have that sort of punchable face now because of the idea of what he is underneath kind of thing. You know what I mean? Which I think I did get, like, the first time we came here and we saw him set up somebody. And he had that, like, proper smug look on his face. And it's like, you fucking... you know, it's always those ones. So, there's always a character like that. But yeah, we'll see how that is. I mean, he claimed that Kageyama is too nice on the court, and because of that, it's, you know, which, I mean, that's interesting. You're talking about a character in Kageyama that back in the day was, you know, too hard. Like, he was too dickish. So I don't know. I wonder if Atsumu's like picking up on the fact that oh wait a minute, it's Mia Atsumu, not Miyu. Maya, whatever. I wonder if he's picking up on the fact that his time with Karasuno's like made him sort of soft in a way, and how that'll affect him. I'm sure that'll come up in future episodes. But yeah, that's that. And then the Yakuzawa thing, which I really liked. It's a thing that, like, it's so interesting having Hinata there, not because he was invited, but he's just helping out, not just by being a ball boy or giving people their water or their jerseys or anything like that, but he's actually helping people out on the court in a way that, like, you know, that is ultimately, like, it's experience for them. You know, Hyakuzawa, who, you know, during the episodes, like, it must be tough. Like, he's the one that's, like, least experienced, but he's got, like, you know, that potential and the height advantage there that it's already in place, and now it's just about working around that technique and trying to, you know, like, hone that sort of that skill. But it would be tough for him, you know what I mean, because you've got that, like, sort of thrust on his shoulders, and obviously you've had that one sort of moment where he just kind of blurted something out, basically saying, I wish you would be invited here, not me. You know, and of course, and Hinata just took it, you know, that one way, basically saying, like, look, you've got this natural advantage of being, you know, of that height and whatnot. But then taking, honestly, the way that he's observing now is great. He is taking things from Kunimi, who is, you know, who likes to slow things down and keep the pace, and because he keeps the ball in the air longer, it allows for your team to get composed and get in position for your attack. You know, and it's something that you know, like I said last episode, when they were talking about the tennis thing and, like, relating it to other sports, that's something that also can relate into other sports as well. You know, football, for example, or soccer, which you know, is like, it's an actual, like, you know, it's a tactic in sport to slow the pace down, because if you keep generally, like, in a momentum, like, style game, like volleyball or like football or like ice hockey or whatever, people tend to get into a zone where you're in this sort of momentum, and it's tied with your kind of pace and the pace of the game. Like, if things are just, like, sort of almost full throttle, all of a sudden you're not taking the time to think about the next move, and everything's more like more based on instinct, and you're kind of stuck in that sort of that pace. Now, if you have an opposition that is relying on that sort of pace and instinct and momentum, then if you can slow the pace down, all of a sudden it basically catches them off guard, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, like, it's like, what's the best word to describe it? It's like throwing them off their momentum. It's like they are expecting it to come back quick, and all of a sudden, because it's not coming back to them as fast enough, all of a sudden they have to think about something, and then they're like, oh shit, what do I do? And then by the time it's too late, you know, you've made your attack, and they're just, like, struggling to keep it, and it basically throws them off their game, which you know worked in not only that kind of way. I mean, I was talking about general composure in terms of you know, sport, but for Hyakuzawa, Specifically, it slowed down the pace for him getting his composure. So just on your side of the field as well, like, you know, by slowing the game down to your pace, at a pace where you are better. You know, so that's just really cool, and it's nice to see that that sort of camaraderie between rivals that aren't even on the same team, you know. But I mean, that's what's good about this sort of little arc that we've got going on here, is that, you know, they're not with their teammates, they're with people from other schools. So it's just nice to see them all sort of like work together to get better themselves, so that they can go back and be better all around. I mean, Hinata basically, you know, he says like, Yakuzawa said to him, like, what's the benefit in like cheering me up? And Hinata's like, what? Because I want to beat you. You know what I mean? It's no good if you're not at your best. Like, it's about trying to prove like each other wrong, and like, you know, like to push each other forward. I mean, that's the whole point in a rival, is you push each other to, like, you know, if your rival's there, he pushes you to go beyond there, and then all of a sudden the opposite happens, and then it just keeps going and rising until you just, you know, you get as strong as you possibly can. So, you know, it's an interesting arc because of that. So I really like it. It completely is something different that, you know, in a show that I've said before about sports anime, where, you know, I've said before, like, the reliance on characters is so huge on this show because it's a sports anime, and it's like, well, how many different places can you really go in a sports anime? Eventually, like, things are just going to keep cropping up that are similar to what we've seen before, but by doing this, it's a whole different thing that we haven't seen before. So, you know, and we're 4 seasons in at this point, so, you know, they're doing well, and they're keeping a good pace. So I like it, keeping a good pace. That was unintentional, but yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for this episode. So yeah, really good episode there. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that would be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of... No, well, you did get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week, but, you know, basically I'm finished the show over on early access of Hunter x Hunter. So, you know, if you want to watch all of those... the rest of those reactions to that show, then you can do it by going over and becoming an early access tier patron. There's also full length tier there for $10. If you want to see any of these reactions in full length, then you can do it by going and becoming a full length tier patron. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show reacted to as well. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.